Heidelberg Institution for International Conflict Research made a list of the top 10 dangerous conflicts in 2014. This list derived from looking over 400 conflicts, 20 of them being wars, across the world in 2014. My international conflict I chose was number 7 on the list. 2016, it went up in the ranks to second. I chose the Mexican drug war as my international conflict. The Mexican drug war cartel violence claimed as many lives in 2015 as the conflicts in Afghanistan and Yemen combined. This war would fall under more of a civil war, in my opinion, because the cartel wants power. They want to be the strongest, and they even buy the police and elected officials to help them out. The actors in the war would be the cartel as a non-state actor and the Mexican government as a state actor. Of course, money is a big issue in this war. Cartels are making a lot of money and they want to continue to do this with no interference from the government. The conflict of interest is based on money, greed, along with the taking control away from the government. Another reason this falls under civil war is you have these cartels fighting amongst themselves for power. Mexican drug war has been going on for roughly about 46 years. The war has lasted longer than the Civil War, World War II, Vietnam, and Afghanistan combined. Terrorism is something that the cartel pretty much invented. The cartel routinely torture and slaughter, even made videos long before ISIS has ever done. Cartel has also killed entire villages. Just think about it, cartel kills everyone in the village, fathers, mothers, children, and grandparents, etc. Upon my research, I found one gruesome story that I want to share because it really caught my interest. Most people in Mexico are Catholic. One Mexican drug cartel in Guerrero entered a village that was made up mostly of Catholic Christian and told everyone to leave the village. Of course, the people refused to leave. The cartel then took a 14-year-old boy and in front of everyone in the village ritually cut out his heart and presented it to everyone in the village in a pagan ritual. Of course, paganism goes against everything that a Catholic believes in. The cartel then declared that if everyone did not leave the village, that they would take all the women and decapitate them. The cartel also chose to appoint the local police and government. They did this so that they would be on the cartel's payroll. Of course, the police and government officials aren't going to do anything if the cartel appointed them. Another problem in Mexico is just below the drug problem is Mexico's human trafficking. The cartel are starting to do a lot of human trafficking, using them as drug mules to get drugs across the country. Here's a picture of the U.S. border with Mexico. You may wonder why Mexico drug war would affect the U.S. Well, one thing, the U.S. is the number one customer for these drugs. 90% of cocaine enters the U.S. through Mexican border. 8% is crystal meth, and it is sold in America. And 14% is heroin and a huge amount of marijuana. Mexico is U.S.'s third largest trading partner of legal exports. The U.S. also the Mexican drug cartel's best customers for drugs. Like I said before, the U.S. gets 90% of its cocaine, 80% of meth, and 14% of heroin. Marijuana sales are actually going down since some states are making it legal. Mexican drug cartels take between 19 to 29 billion a year from drug sales, and that's only the U.S. However, in returning, Mexico is the biggest buyer in weaponry from the U.S. The U.S. citizens that use drugs give the cartel billions for their drug addiction. Let's be honest, if you're addicted to drugs, you're not going to really care where it came from. You're just going to be happy you got it. The U.S. Defense Department has said Sinaloa and Gulf are two of Mexico's biggest drug cartels, and they have roughly about 100,000 foot soldiers. That's a lot of soldiers if you think about it, because the Mexico army has 130,000 soldiers. Of course, these two cartels will never get together, but if they did, Mexico would have a really tough time stopping these guys. The political economy of Mexico's drug war, illegal drugs keep Mexico financially solvent. Basically, it brings a lot of cash flow and unfortunately jobs for these people that belong to the cartels. Plus the greed and the corruption of the government and official guarantees that stopping illegal drugs will never completely succeed. Money can unfortunately influence people and cause them to do things they are unethically. They say that Mexican drug war is a killing machine. Why is saying this? Well, because in the past 6 years, it is estimated 120,000 people have been killed, 20,000 have disappeared, and 250,000 have been displaced, where they have been kicked out of homes, villages, towns, etc. Some cartels that are pretty dangerous that I found a big list of them. Sinaloa is one of Mexico's oldest and most influential cartels, with strongholds along Mexico's Pacific coast. It has the largest international footprint amongst its Mexican rivals, and it is the single largest and most powerful drug trafficking organization in the Western Hemisphere. Now, I'm going to get a couple of these names wrong because I can't pronounce them, but I'm going to try my best. Next one is Druid Juanes. Juanes strongholds the state of Chihuahua across the border of New Mexico and Texas. It is the oldest surviving drug trafficking organization in Mexico. Gulf is another one. Gulf became one of the first cartels to turn a mega operation with a dedicated military wing that eventually mutated into the Los Zetas. Now they're one of the most violent criminal groups in the Western Hemisphere. Next one is Beltran Leyva. Organization formed when the Beltran Leyva brothers split the Sinaloa cartel in 2008. The organization partners with Juanes and Los Zetas cartels. They started their drug sales consisting largely of poppy and marijuana growers. The last cartel that I want to talk about is Tijuana. Tijuana is among the strongest organization crime in Mexico. The cartel controlled the lucrative corridor in Tijuana for running drugs and people into the U.S. And the last slide is my references that help me complete this research.